Hello, I'm Dr. Scott Wadier.
And I'm Tommy Welling, and you're listening to the Fasting for Life podcast.
This podcast is about using fasting as a tool to regain your health, achieve ultimate wellness, and live the life you truly deserve.
Each episode is a short conversation on a single topic with immediate actionable steps. We cover everything from fat loss and health and wellness to the science of lifestyle design.
We started Fasting for Life because of how fasting has transformed our lives, and we hope to share the tools that we have learned along the way.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fasting for Life podcast. My name is Dr. Scott Wadier, and I'm here as always with my good friend and colleague Tommy Welling. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Hey Scott, how are you?
Doing fantastic, my friend. Excited for today's conversation. Before we hop into the question, is fasting right for me? And the top list of fasting faux pas that we experience in trying to adopt a fasting lifestyle, which I am extremely excited about. I want to welcome in the new listeners. If you're new to the podcast, you want to learn more about Tommy, you want to learn more about me in an above the board kind of experience, go ahead and hear how fasting has transformed our lives. Episode 1, 30 minutes. It'll give you our story and some perspective on why we do what we do and why we believe fasting is such a powerful tool for so many in terms of losing weight, reversing disease, improving metabolic health, and ultimately obtaining a healthy, long, vibrant lifestyle. So Tommy,
Yes.
as we hop into today's conversation, first of all, shout out, I almost forgot, to the OGs that have been on this journey with us.
Heck yeah, shout out.
Man, have things changed over the last 4+ years. It's just been an absolutely incredible wild ride. We are so grateful for each one of your downloads, your follows, your likes, your shares. We especially love the 5-star reviews. Yes, this is a shameless plug.
Yeah, but they're the best. Love them.
I love them, that we are bringing value each and every week. We have an upcoming challenge coming up here. So, right around the corner on October 30th. So of 2024, if you're going back and listening to the annals of the episodes, it may not be the same date, so don't get confused. So October 30th of 2024, because we probably won't go back and remove that statement.
Right.
But we have a challenge coming up. It's the second to last challenge of the year, smack dab in the beginning of the holiday season with Halloween. We're going to guide you through the holidays and give you the momentum of what you're looking for to not only start 2025 on the right track when it comes to your health and weight loss journeys, but already being farther along on that journey before 2025 even starts. So you can make some massive progress over the next couple of months, and we're excited to do that with you. So if you want to accelerate the process and you want to learn and spend an entire week plus with us live every single day, replays, private Facebook group, etc., head to the show notes, click the link. We'll see you on the inside. But Tommy, I cannot believe that we've never done an episode specifically speaking about, is fasting right for me? Mm-hmm. And like the top fasting faux pas or mistakes that we see. So we did one way back in the day, episode 65, common fasting mistakes. But Fasting for Life has changed a lot since then. We've gone through different iterations and our messaging and the results that we've gotten for people and the amount of downloads and impact that we've seen. So,
and long-term perspective too.
Yeah, that's exactly where I want to start is when we talk about this question of, is fasting right for me? We want to make sure that we're taking the long-term approach, because what we see is we underestimate what we can do in the long term, but we overestimate what we can do in the short term. And we don't want to get stuck in thinking in the short term diet mentality, this is going to be a quick fix for me type thinking, right?
Yeah, that's the transition from diet mentality to lifestyle mentality. And it's one that most of us who come into fasting, a lot of times it's about seeing a new number on the scale, about getting better or more accelerated or more consistent weight loss efforts. optimizing health, getting blood work in order, all of these kind of things, which can come with a sense of urgency, a sense of this is very important. I need to get something done here. And then now I have a better answer potentially to the solution to get me there. And then, so I want to see results quickly. I want to see them consistently. Also, if you just get into fasting from not fasting, you can see some very quick wins, sometimes dramatically. And that can almost set the stage up for some future disappointment, though, or some future frustration, some future expectations and reality not matching up. And that's where part of this conversation comes from, because if you're newer to fasting, and then you do resonate with those statements, then I'm going to encourage you to start zooming out and thinking a little bit further along into the future, because if we can start that thinking transition now, then it's going to be much easier to kind of keep up with doing more things that are working when we're fasting, and then dropping some of the old habits as kind of habits and self-image shift over time. But it, like Rome wasn't built in a day. And so consider your fasting lifestyle kind of like your own Rome that you're building. Like it's going to take some time, but but we're going to talk about some of the things that could potentially derail, when we have seen derail people, especially in the shorter term.
Yeah. So big picture, is fasting right for you? Are you brand new? Have you fallen off the wagon? I don't want to sound like an infomercial. Has life gotten you down? Right? Is the diet restarting again on Monday? We bring a lot of that baggage, right, with us, and we get stuck, like you said, Tommy, in that short term thinking, like, oh, my next labs, my yearly physical, the end of the year, the holiday season. Mm-hmm. It's
Vacation
no doubt. Yeah. We'll say it again.
Vacation coming up.
Coming up.
Maybe I just came back from one or something like that.
Yeah.
And, obviously the scale can tick up.
I need to make a reactionary, urgent decision right now based on how I'm feeling. Right. But the reality is that, like, we live in a world that we're addicted to information.
Yeah.
More than ever before.
Yeah. Guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Show me. Prove it to me. Mm-hmm. Trust the science. However you want to splice it, right? Well, my doctor said, well, okay, but we're addicted to information. The next lab, the next weigh-in, the next metric, right? Mm-hmm. But I really, truly believe that we're allergic to implementation.
Oh, that's a good way to frame it.
So if we're not starting this, and we're under... we just did a research article last week where it was a 12-week study, and they lost 7 pounds. Mm-hmm. And the author who wrote the editorial on the research article, and we did more on the research article than the editorial, but was like, yeah, I'm really unimpressed. I'm like, never mind, did all the other metrics get better? And TRE, time restricted eating fasting, is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But okay, great. Only 7 pounds in 12 weeks. Okay, let's go long term. Space that out over a year. That's 30 pounds.
And that was with 14-hour fasting windows too.
Right. But I'm just talking long-term versus short-term thinking. Mm-hmm. Well, it's only 7 pounds in 12 weeks. Man, that's terrible. Okay, with fasting, to your point, you can see that a lot faster, pun intended.
Sure.
But we underestimate what we can accomplish with consistent action or implementation in the long term. So
that's not the only quarter of the year, right? Like, okay, and then what? And then what do you do afterwards? You can keep doing the same thing. We're
recording this at the beginning of October. We just started Q4. If you lost 7 pounds in Q4 of 2024, there's a lot of you out there going, hell yeah, sign me up. I almost swallowed my tongue. Hell yeah, sign me up for that. Yep. Right? Mm-hmm. That's why this time of the year, our challenges are busier. Our coaching is busier. We have more communications, more emails, more questions coming in, right? Mm-hmm. There's that urgency. So what we don't want to do, though, in the beginning, if we're beginning with the end in mind, is fasting, right? For me, getting off that dieting roller coaster, is we don't want to start too fast. And like, I've never fasted before. I hadn't fasted in 6 months. I used to fast and life got me, right?
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to do a 24-hour fast. I'm going to wake up and weigh myself the next day.
Mm.
Well, damn, if that scale's not going to reward you, and it might be tough to do a 24-hour fast after not doing it for a while.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I mean, what if when you feel that most urgency to hit the gas like that and to do a longer fast when you haven't done one before, or maybe when it's been a while, it can be because things were very different. Maybe there was a birthday celebration or an out to eat at a restaurant. Maybe there was a late meal. Maybe there was some overindulgence, some unintentional eating. And then all of a sudden I have the urgency to want to rip that Band-Aid off and just, forge ahead, hit the gas, pedal to the metal, right? And of course, metabolically and and physiologically speaking, that's going to be the toughest time to do that longer fast right there, which means I have a lower probability of successfully completing it. And for, actually doing it without feeling some of the frustration or some of the symptomatology of that metabolic switching and, burning through all of those short-term energy stores so that I can, kind of cruise through the rest of the fast, because the bigger that meal was, the more energy that I just brought in. And so when I get to the end of that, it can feel a little tough, and depending on how long that fast is, that set of feelings can continue, and that can be part of the negative feedback that I'm hoping not for, that then discourages the behavior that I just did, which I thought was going to be so helpful in the moment, right?
Yeah, so what I'm hearing there is an overcompensation, right, of the before and after. The reparations or preparations.
Yeah.
Right. So I dove in fast in 24 hours and then, holy crap, I'm hungry. This is really hard. And now you're going to eat 3 meals in one setting, in one sitting, and your food choices might not be great. And you might just do some grazing and some FOMO and just put all the stuff in you can possibly get, and your window doesn't close on time. And then you've just gone off the rails.
An OMAD, a 1 meal a day plan turned into kind of an at-home buffet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be tough.
Or you're overcompensating on the front end for an event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prepping to go off, 7-day cruise style.
Oh, yikes. That can be painful. Yeah, coming back off of that and then looking at the scale.
Didn't you know someone that did that and had like an insane amount of weight gain?
They were pretty much competing, and it was a father and son, in-laws of a really good friend of mine, and they went on a cruise together. And he's an engineer. He loves the numbers, but he's also he's into, I would say he's into health. But he's also into doing big things on the health front, running 10Ks and, preparing for them and things like that. And, but yeah, a big guy likes to work out a lot too. And so he can see some big swings on the scale, especially if he kind of goes off the rails, and he's not like a big metabolic, he doesn't have a lot of health concerns,
right?
Which is almost part of the issue, because he finds like, eating and opportunities like that to be kind of, a competitive thing. And he has like an athlete son. So they went onto a cruise and basically ate as much as they possibly could, almost treated it like a food competition or something. Yeah. And he ended up coming back after 6 nights, I believe. And the scale was up 21 pounds. And I don't know exactly how long it took to get back to baseline from that, though. But I hate to even imagine the volatility if I was to see something like that, and then go back a few years, especially before fasting or more towards the beginning, and think, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, and the reason this matters too is because we want to talk about that long-term sustainability. What's the best fasting window? The one you can stick to. What's the best workout plan? The one you're going to do. What's the best financial strategy to get out of debt? Well, the one that you're actually going to implement, right? So we have this addiction to information, but this allergic reaction to implementation over consistent amounts of time, right? So I know we didn't talk about this as we were prepping for this episode. So I just saw the look on your face, like, where did that come from? I don't know, but I think it really fits, right? So if we're looking at this compensation, then we're going to have the conversation about under eating, overeating, and food choices, right? So if we're starting too fast, and we're not beginning with the end in mind, and we're not really sure is fasting, is this the answer? Can I do this long term?
Mhm.
The answer is yes, we're doing it. So are thousands of other people that we've coached and taken through the challenges, right?
Mhm.
Over 6,000 folks have gone through the 7-day Master Your Fasting Challenge at this point, or some early stage variation. But over the last 2.5, 3 years, it's been the same, producing the same results. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to do anything different. Let's go do the same thing over and over again.
Mhm.
But we talk more about this under eating, over fasting and overeating, under fasting type balance, right?
Yeah.
So, which really revolves mostly around food and emotional connection to food, which is why it matters. This overcompensation paradox that we're kind of outlining here, right? So, can fasting move the scale without having to track calories and count macros and eat less and move more? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But if we're only doing it for weight loss to move the scale, then sure. Well, we're not doing it for that. We're doing it for health and disease prevention and coming off medications and reversing diabetes and preventing Alzheimer's and, not becoming a statistic that shockingly we spend trillions of dollars more than any other country, and yet our life expectancy sucks and our quality of life sucks as a country as we age.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so eating too much during your window, high carb, high sugary foods, the peanut butter paradox, right? Like, or even almond flour. Like, almond flour is so calorically dense.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a couple of examples, we get a lot of people that tell us, yeah, peanut butter, man.
Yeah.
If you weigh out a tablespoon, that doesn't...
It's tricky. Peanut butter's tricky.
Yeah, that's not... that's... Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to have 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. Said who?
Yeah. Did who ever? Yeah.
Right? And then almond flour, right? Like, we make chicken crust pizza. I don't use almond flour in it. Mm-hmm. Or if we make chaffles, I don't use almond flour. I use Parmesan cheese. Because the carb load and the way I feel during those windows when I'm making healthy swaps,
yeah,
it's crap.
So different.
I don't feel good about it, right?
Big contrast.
So the whole conversation around food choices and not following a long-term sustainable kind of healthy plan for you. You can be vegan or vegetarian. Vegan's more strict, right? I always forget.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or you can be carnivore or lion diet, which is literally meat, red meat, and salt. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, or anywhere in between on the healthy spectrum of what a sustainable lifestyle transformation is for you. But not focusing on nutrient-dense whole foods and relying on the short-term, higher hedonic, junky food, processed food, etc., is going to create some volatility and some kinks in your armor. I'm like, is this fasting thing really going to do it for me?
Yeah. What about when you associate fasting with one of those changes, like you just mentioned, like a big lifestyle overhaul? Let's think a diet overhaul. If I'm eating more of a balanced, or maybe like a slightly more unhealthy, unintentional kind of, just broad food eating. And then all of a sudden I go super strict into one of the buckets. Maybe I go, okay, it's time for me to do, I'm going to do a vegan diet, or I'm going to do a paleo diet. I'm going to do a carnivore or keto diet, whatever it is. And then I also start fasting or start ramping up my fasting, or I turn on more aggressive fasting. Let's say I go, oh man, I heard about, this 1 meal a day thing. I'm going to try that. And also I overhauled my actual diet style. Well, then now I'm putting the two together. So if one doesn't work so well, they're probably both going to get thrown out at the same time if I decide to change course. And that can be one of the big things where we see a lot of fasting frustration, especially at the beginning, but it could be when I'm coming back online. You could have a long list of successful fasts, even longer extended fasts, for years even, and then kind of come back online after a period of, relative fasting dormancy, if you will, or lack of consistency. And then you put these together, and frustration in one leads to throwing out the other. And then that can be very problematic, because now all of a sudden, maybe it was the dietary restriction that was the real unsustainable part. And that was the real cause of the frustration. But now the fasting went out too. and you feel like, well, the fasting thing might not be for me, or I have a lot of fasting frustration right now. Well, separating those two mentally, psychologically can be a little easier said than done. But if you're prepared for it and you're not linking them both up and you're willing to tweak one while you keep the other one the same, that can be a recipe for much more success and less frustration, right?
100%. And before we get into like kind of the conversation around the fasting lengths and the variations and all that stuff, I want to make sure we hit one more thing on this food choice, FOMO, decision-making matrix around your fasting decisions is, making sure that we are, if we're going to, going, a lot of people that come to fasting do the low carb thing to begin as well.
Sure.
We absolutely need to focus on proper hydration and getting in enough salt and removing the sweetened beverages and the calories during our dirty fasting windows, like versus our clean fasting windows, and not making sure that we're replacing those carbs with prioritizing protein and healthy fats. Because one of the faux pas we see is like if you really start to do long extended fasts and you just keep ping-ponging back and forth on the scale, the same 5, 8, 10, 12 pounds. It's because you're doing the extended fast, and we'll talk about the fast in a second, without first establishing some plan of like a healthy eating strategy or a simplified nutrition strategy.
Yeah.
You got too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Like you just got to simplify it, strip it down. I literally had dinner last night. It was 4 HEB turkey patties.
That's it?
That was it.
Yeah.
That was my second meal of the day, my TMAD.
Satiating?
It was great with a little bit of the avocado mayo. Man, that was perfect. Some salt, some flaky Malden salt, and some fresh ground pepper. And it was great. That was it.
Simple. I love it.
Right? But simplifying that equation is helpful. You just got to, it's trial and error. You got to figure out what works for you, right? So that hydration piece and that food piece are so absolutely important. Let's talk about fasting variations here, Tommy, because one thing we'll see too is one of the things that will cause you to doubt is fasting a long-term strategy for me. What does maintenance look like? We don't ever talk about maintenance a lot. Like, what does my maintenance look like? For me, it looks like TMAD most days, a 24-hour fast once a week, and an occasional quarterly 3 to 5 day, and a 1 to 2 time a year 7 day, right? So for me, but I've done that over years of trial and error. So we've changed our tune on this, doing the same meal. I'll do OMAD dinner until I hit my goal strategy, right? Or being afraid to push into longer fasts. Are two things with fasting windows that we see as mistakes that are commonly made.
Yeah, it's easy to get into like a fasting rut, especially, like simplicity is good, but dinner OMAD is one of those simple tools that can be effective, but it can also be like, I can start to lean on it even when it's really not working. Like the overall goal might be further fat loss, but it's not doing it. It's not moving the needle in that direction. But yet it's still such a big comfort zone because it's more open to social opportunities and that kind of more quiet time during the day where maybe it's easy to push off breakfast, maybe it's easy to skip lunch, but at the same time, dinner might be the hardest one for most of us to say no to, or to skip to go into the next day, or maybe to go a full 24 hours or more without eating. So leaning on that as or recognizing if that is a comfort zone that can be problematic is, I think, a very important skill, and one that causes some fasting frustration without even really knowing it sometimes. So exercising that occasional lunch or maybe that occasional breakfast instead of just that dinner can be a very helpful thing, right?
And another thing to take into consideration, the why this is important, is because what's your goal? Is it to reverse diabetes and come off and get your blood pressure in check and take care of, attack PCOS or hormone imbalances or,
Yeah, thyroid issue.
Thyroid, like what's the goal? So there's different approaches here in terms of varying your fasting. If we're just looking at fasting from the beginning of this diet mentality, quick fix, thinking in the short term, then we're leaving out a lot of details in terms of what a long-term is fasting right for me strategy should look like, right? So we've talked in the past about doing ketogenic diets for 90-day increments for diabetes reversal. I think keto is great. I don't think keto is great for women long-term. I don't think keto is great for men long-term. I think it's great with a use case or an application with a strategic goal, or as I like to say on coaching calls, is what's the problem you're trying to solve? Like, what's the question you're trying to answer here, right? Well, I have this question. Okay, yeah, but that's not really it. Like, what's the underlying thing here? What's it?
Let's keep digging.
Yeah, let's keep digging. Let's keep going. Deeper and figuring out, okay, what are we really trying to achieve here? And that just takes a longer vision type strategy or approach and the way to look at it. So,
can I pause you for a second?
Please. I need to take a breath anyway.
We talked about the duration of the fast, going into a 1 meal a day, or potentially biting off, more than I can chew. Because let me say this: it can be tempting sometimes to go, okay, let me jump into a longer fast than what I've done before, especially if I feel like I've been off track or it's been a while and I just need to get back into fasting. So let me just go straight into pedal to the metal, like I said before. But sometimes that can set us up in a way that we're likely not to hit that goal. And the trouble there is that now all of a sudden we lose a little bit of trust in ourselves with being able to execute on the planned fast. So I'd much rather come into a quote unquote realistic goal, hit some singles before I start shooting for some doubles, rather than just aiming for the fences, trying to hit a home run, right? Because it would be much better to build up some trust and resiliency in myself and a little bit of a track record, rather than failing to meet the goal that I've been planning for. And on the flip side of that coin, if I'm jumping into fasting, or if I'm new to fasting, or I'm coming in from a dormancy, then also fasting for too short of a duration can also lead to lackluster results or lack of positive reinforcement for what I'm doing, to where, like we talked about a little bit last week with the quote unquote unimpressive results of a recent fasting study. If you jump in and you're doing an 8-hour fast, you're doing a 10-hour fast, maybe even you're doing a 14 or a 16-hour fast, but you have a level of weight to lose or food choices that can essentially negate some of these shorter fasts, or you're doing things within your nutrition opportunity window that are more than compensating for what you did during your fast, you may not see any results from that. Yep. And so you're getting this negative feedback right there, where sometimes the answer is a little bit more fasting. I mean, obviously it can be better food choices as well, and there's a host of other decisions that need to be made too. But sometimes the answer is a little bit more fasting, not throwing out the fasting altogether because I'm not seeing the needle move, right?
Yep. And this is going to transition right into the last two that we're going to talk about today,
okay,
which is going to be trying to fast when you're not sleeping well. Like we're talking like high stress, travel, kids sick, like loss of loved one, hospital stay, like something crazy, right? Like when you're just not sleeping well. And then it also kind of goes hand in hand with this being impatient, kind of giving up too soon conversation. So these are things that we just got to figure out. So this not sleeping well, high stress environment, we're going to be putting additional stress on our HPA axis or our cortisol response. And it's going to make fasting, so we've done tons of episodes on sleep, so we won't go deep here, but it's going to increase your hunger hormone ghrelin, make fasting harder. It's going to then fuel some of the fasting mistakes that we just mentioned in terms of food choices and breaking your fast, and the struggles with keeping with the hydration, and et cetera, et cetera. So really know that if you're in a high stress time and your sleep's crap, your fasting then needs to reflect that season.
Mm.
It's not always to what we were just talking about, the time to hit the gas pedal or slam on the brake and throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
And this is why the lifestyle adaptation is so key, Tommy. So that's just going to take trial and error. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the last one here, which is just we're not giving it enough time.
Mm.
Is fasting right for me? If you're thinking it's a quick fix and you want the scale to move the next morning, that it might on some days.
Sure.
But if we think long term, we don't want to be impatient and give up too soon.
Yeah, and that's part of that perspective thing. So
Right.
understanding that while you're setting your fasting goals, or what are my 30-day goals from here, but then going like, I will need to come back like on a smarter goal. There's an evaluation, there's a review or reward part of that smarter goal. Like we have to circle back to it. It's not like over the next 30 days, I'm going to fix whatever metabolic issue. I might be able to make some improvement there. It might be substantial improvement.
Yep.
But at the same time, 30 days from now, if I don't have a new or adjusted plan, or a plan to continue doing exactly what I am doing now, then I will by default revert back towards long-term habits. And what's the more path of least resistance? It's going to be what I've done more of the time, that's easier, that's a little bit more comforting, that's less, that takes no amount of discipline versus maybe just a little bit of discipline. I'm going to revert back to it. And maybe not all at once, but it's very, very likely I'm going to slide back. So making a plan that says, okay, in 30 days, I'm going to reevaluate this. In 60 days, I'm going to come back so I can set another plan for myself. It doesn't have to be more aggressive fasting necessarily, but it's going to need to be something that has my long-term results in mind and includes some of the things that have been working to improve, my outcome measures thus far.
And that's why it's so important.
Yeah.
To begin with the end in mind, right? So when we
I'm
have
preaching
this
I'm preaching to my former self here too,
of
right?
Course.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that old adage, the person you're most likely to be able to help is the older version of you, right?
Mm.
So yeah, speaking from a place of understanding and been there, done that multiple times along the journey.
Course,
and that's why we say it's fasting for life, adopting a fasting lifestyle, why we're on this journey with you. And ultimately, as we wrap up today's conversation, Tommy, if you want to get some massive action and get an absolute jump start and kick all your competitors' backsides, your friends, family, get their heads to whip and turn and look as you walk in for the holiday party.
Whoa, what are you doing?
Whoa, hold on. You ain't been eating the Halloween candy. Well, I have. I just been doing some fasting very well with some great coaching. Hop into the next challenge. It's coming up October 30th. Average weight loss was just over 8 pounds last event. Last challenge we did in early September. Just incredible group of people. We bring you inside the VIP coaching group. You're with us. You see behind the curtain. You get us live every day, replays, Facebook group support. You got daily action steps and a small 3 to 5 minute homework that really moves the needle to create some of this consistency that we just kind of broke down in terms of how you can make fasting be the long-term solution for you and ultimately answer the question, is fasting right for me? Well, yeah, damn right it is. Sometimes you just need a little extra oomph behind you. And that's what we're going to do, Tommy. We're going to have an incredible challenge coming up on the 30th. So
heck yeah.
Head to the show notes, click the link, get registered. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Appreciate the conversation as always, Tommy, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
See you, bye.
So, you've heard today's episode, and you may be wondering, where do I start? Head on over to thefastingforlife.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive fasting tips and strategies to maximize results and fit fasting into your day-to-day life. While you're there, download your free Fast Start guide to get started today. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Fasting for Life.